So if you could use your mind to achieve success, would you do it? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down 3 key things that the top 1%, the successful people in the world, they use within their mind to get success, to achieve success. And if you're not doing any of these 3 things, never mind all 3, you're probably not getting the success that you want right now. So get ready to soak this in, take notes, because this is going to be real applicable things that if you don't know about, you can apply and instantly start to see changes in your life. So let's think about the first thing. Have you ever tried really hard, put a lot of effort in to get a result, to hit a certain income bracket, but you just seem to be stuck? Like no matter how hard you try, you just can't get past that 5k month, 10k month, 50k month, whatever it is you make. I personally had this. I personally had this last year where I just couldn't, like, I was trying hard, I was trying different things, and I just couldn't get past that 5k a month. It wasn't happening for me. And I started to realize it wasn't, and this was towards the end of the year, and going into the new year, I made 13.5k in 12 days. And one of the things that shifted that I'm going to speak about right now was my self-image. What is my self-image? Essentially how you see yourself. It's how you perceive yourself. And this self-image, and we'll speak about what it is, essentially is going to control how you behave. A little thing from this book here called Psycho-Cybernetics, and it speaks about this, and this is one of the statements. All of your actions, feelings, behavior, even your abilities are always consistent with your self-image. In short, you will act like the sort of person you conceive yourself to be. Not only this, but you literally cannot act in otherwise in spite of all your conscious efforts or willpower. So you'll never be able to act out of alignment with how you see yourself. So number one is self-image. And ultimately, your self-image, as it controls how you behave, how you show up, is going to dictate the outcomes of your life. So one thing that successful people have is a self-image that supports the idea, I am successful, I can be successful, I deserve results, I deserve success. So the self-image is made from all of your past experiences. Okay, this is where it's built. Past experiences, all of your failures, all of your successes. Okay, successes, right? All of your successes, and how people have reacted to you, how you've reacted to people. It's been built up of pretty much all of your past experiences. It's as simple as that to think about it like that. So this here again is your self-image. That's what it's built off of. And what this is going to do, like we spoke about there, it's going to drive all of the behaviors. If you, as I said, if you see yourself as a loser, you will act like a loser ultimately. So when it comes to successful people, they see themselves as someone that is successful, that can get results. Whereas right now, if you don't see yourself as that kind of person, you will not get those results. So ask yourself right now, do I actually see myself, do I actually believe that I am the kind of person to get the result that I want? Personally, for me, I didn't believe I could get 10k a month. I believed I was capable, I believed it was possible, but I didn't see myself as that person. I didn't see myself as someone that was making that right now. And therefore, I didn't hit the target. It never happened. As soon as I had the shift, and we'll speak about how you can have that shift, now you can update your self-image. As soon as I had that shift though, within 12 days, I had doubled the revenue. I actually pretty much tripled the revenue because I made 4k in December. Within half of the month. And it's because a big part of why that happened was because of the shift in my mind of how I started to see myself. I started to perceive myself as someone that could do it and already had done it. And Kyle, how did you do this? Like, how did you change your self-image? So if one thing that successful people have is a self-image that supports being successful, how do you then adopt that? And this is actually, I had a conversation with my clients last night that I went and met for some steak, a couple of cigars, and he was asking me, like, I just feel like I'm not as intentional as I could be. I feel like I'm going into things like the gym, or I'm taking these sales calls, and I feel like the intention's just not there. Or, what we found out to be was, he just struggled to, like, act like the guy. He struggled to act like the guy on the sales call, like the killer, the sales closing killer, right? Or act in the gym like the guy that was fully committed. And it was all to do with how he seen himself. He didn't see himself as a guy, or wasn't reinforcing the self-image as the guy that could close that sale and was an absolute killer. He didn't see himself as a guy that was completely committed to absolutely smashing the gym and tracking every rep and set. He didn't see himself as that person, and therefore, he didn't behave like it. So if you're not right now reinforcing a self-image, seeing yourself as the person that already has what you want, or deserves to have what you want, You're not going to get it. But how do we update it? We update our self-image, and the easiest way to do this is imagination. So there's a version of you that has the success that you want. Imagine what they do. Imagine how they think, imagine how they feel, imagine how they show up. Use your imagination to paint this picture. And you can actually, again, with this, using your imagination, use a tool like visualization. And when you use a tool like visualization, your brain does not know the difference between real life and real life versus a vivid imagination. So if you can visualize, right, what is it like to be that version of me that has what I want, to have that success? If you can start to imagine this and vividly imagine it, right, your brain does not know the difference between real life and imagination. So what this does is, this starts to create, like this here, because these are one, that starts to create an emotional experience. So you start to emotionally experience that thing that you're imagining and you're visualizing. That emotional experience is the same thing as this, past experiences. So what these new emotional experiences start to do, if you think of it like this, they start to update your self-image. So imagine your self-image is primarily composed or built from the past experiences. As you start to have these new emotional experiences, you're going to start to update that self-image. And a cool little analogy that you can use, imagine you pull out a filing cabinet, and in that filing cabinet are all of these experiences that you've been through in your life. And if you've got nothing that shows you or proves to you in that filing cabinet that you have that result that you're aiming for, it's going to be hard to feel like the person. It's going to be hard to feel like the guy, or to update that self-image, because it's not there in that physical experience filing cabinet that you've got. But by using your imagination and visualization, we can start to feed mental images into our mind that are vivid, that are really sensory rich, that we can feel, that we can emotionally experience. And that's going to start updating that filing cabinet without you having to actually physically do anything differently. So if you're right now thinking, cool, the successful people have a self-image that supports I am successful, I can be successful, but right now you don't have that, you can use this, what I've just said, to start updating this self-image. And ultimately what this is doing by updating the self-image, you're rewiring your brain. So you're rewiring your brain. You're rewiring your brain and your mind at a subconscious level. And you're starting to then change how you behave, change how you act. If you're updating your self-image and you're rewiring your brain, okay, we'll draw a line down to here, at a subconscious level. Subconscious, so subconscious level. That's not how you spell conscious. Yeah, it is. Subconscious level. 95% of your actions, habits, and behaviors, and your beliefs, and everything like that is formed in your subconscious mind, which will dictate how you behave and how you show up. And if that subconscious mind is controlling 95% of how you show up, how you operate, and by rewiring your brain and updating the self-image using emotional experiences and the tool visualization in your imagination, you're updating or reprogramming, should I say, this subconscious mind, and therefore 95% of how you show up. And that will ultimately start to change your life and start to change the results you're getting, as long as your imagination, your vivid imagination, your visualization aligns with seeing yourself as the person that has the success. So the self-image. If you see yourself as a loser, you will act like a loser. Successful people do not see themselves as losers. Successful people see themselves as winners, as successful people. Hence why they show up like that person. Hence why they behave as they should. Hence why they're taking the right actions and getting the results. But you right now, you might not see yourself as someone who is successful. And that's why you're not getting the success. So one thing that you can reinforce and ask yourself is, how does the most successful version of myself show up today? What do they do this week? What actions do they take? How do they show up in the business? How do they prepare for sleep? Could be your evening routine. What do they do when they wake up in the morning? Start to ask yourself these questions and then mentally rehearse tomorrow as that version of yourself. Start to imagine what they would do. And in real time, through emotional experiencing this imagination, or having these emotional experiences using imagination, you're going to start to update seeing yourself as being that version of you. But moving forward, using the visualization imagination, that's really good. But moving forward, use mental rehearsal. Actually see yourself playing out tomorrow as that version of you. See it playing out. Imagine it. Mentally rehearse that thing happening and the day happening and playing out as that version of you. And you're going to find yourself aligning a lot more with it, because you might be in this unconscious loop of like almost expecting things not to go as they should, because it's just all you've ever had, all you've ever known. Oh, I'll just hit 5K a month, or I'll just hit that target and not get past it. That might be what you're assuming right now. That might be what you're almost mentally rehearsing without even knowing it. Interrupt that pattern and start mentally rehearsing as the version of you that is successful. What does that look like? And you're going to start to feed your mind with more positive images, more positive imagination that aligns with acting like that version of yourself that has success. And that's how you start to really update this self-image. So the second thing, have you ever, just a question for you as you're watching this, have you ever bought a new car, or you're looking at a new car, and I'll wipe this off as I'm talking, but ultimately, have you ever bought a new car, or like you're looking at a new car, and all you can see is that new car on the road? Like, it's the only thing that you can see. And if the answer is yes, because it is likely that that's happened to you before, whereas like you're going to get something new and you just can't stop seeing it, well, there's a part of your brain that's doing this. There's a part of your brain that is in control when this is happening. And it's the same part of your brain that will filter reality to show you things, to show you evidence to back up whatever it is your brain is programmed to filter, which we're going to speak about. And this part of your brain is called RAS. And the actual name of this is the reticular activating system. Okay, and this part of your brain, essentially, you want to see here, it filters your reality. That filters your reality. And it will filter reality based on your beliefs. It will filter reality based on what you think is important, or deemed to be important. It will filter reality based on what you're consciously thinking about. Right? So what you're consciously thinking about all the time, the thoughts that you're consistently feeding, the things that you're holding in a part of your brain called your prefrontal cortex. A lot of the time, the thoughts, the things that you're holding in, the ideas that you're holding in that part of your brain consciously, most of the time, your brain's going to use this part, RAS, to filter reality, to back that up, to find evidence for it. So again, this directly ties to the self-image. But number two is RAS. Successful people have their RAS trained to see opportunities. They have their RAS trained to filter reality to see opportunities to move forward. And a big part of that is, yes, how they see themselves. So again, an example, you walk into a restaurant. If you are someone that is insecure, you think you're ugly, you don't think you're attractive, and this is a guy, for example, and there's a group of good-looking girls, for example, laughing in the corner. If you're a guy that's not confident, you don't feel good about yourself, you're going to think and filter reality to see those people laughing and back up the belief of, I'm not good looking because they're laughing at me. That's an example of RAS. Another example of RAS is, imagine you're in a really busy party, busy room, festival, whatever it is, and someone shouts your name, right? You hear that name. It becomes important. It's like this thing that's important to you is your name. So your brain will filter reality for that to be important. So essentially what successful people do and how they use this part of their brain called the reticular activating system, one of the key things that they have, right, is a clear vision. What, like most, if not all successful people at the top 1%, they have a clear vision. And a clear vision is knowing exactly what the life you want looks like, knowing exactly what the result you want looks like, to the point where you're going to be so connected to it, you can almost feel it. Imagine you want right now, imagine you watching this, you want a new car. Let's say it's a Porsche. You can clearly see exactly what that Porsche is going to look like. In fact, you're so clear on that vision, you can see what it looks like parked in your driveway. You can almost feel what it's like to sit in it. You can see yourself getting in it. You can see yourself getting out of it. You can see yourself driving it. You can see the steering wheel in your mind. That vision is so clear about, like, for the Porsche and for that car, you're going to see those Porsches everywhere. That's another example. You're going to see those Porsches everywhere. But not only are you going to see those Porsches everywhere, think about this. The vision and the clear vision of having the Porsche, what also is in your life at that point? You're maybe hitting X target. Maybe you've got your business running a certain way. You've got X amount of clients. Whatever it is, you're making X amount of money. You're doing this with your time. As part of having that vision of I can see myself with that car, there's other things attached to it, and it's your whole life that's around having that thing. So as I said, how you're showing up, how you're operating, etc. So when you have that clear vision and you're really tied to it and connected to it, you're going to see ways to move towards it. You're going to see opportunities to make that happen. So if you're thinking, right, I imagine you're a coach, quite easy for me to apply this context, but imagine you're a coach and you're like, I want to make 10 grand a month, okay? If you see yourself having that Porsche, the clear vision, making 10 grand a month, I've got X amount of clients, blah, 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 you're going to get ideas. You're going to see opportunities and ways of making that happen using your reticular activating system. Let me give you an example, personal example for me. At the start of the year, yes, I updated my self-image. Yes, I updated the things that I was believing in. And a big part of that was using the imagination, the visualization. I'd done a daily visualization call with my mentor every morning for months. And that really helped me shift. But for me to go from 4K in a month to 13.5 grand in 12 days, the reason why I could see an opportunity to make that happen was because I started to update my self-image and what I believed in and what I was consciously thinking about. I was consciously thinking about 20k in a month, hit 20k, hit 20k. And I didn't know how it was going to happen when I started doing this. I really didn't. But the opportunity and it came to me, I was thinking, right, cool. I could actually charge 6 months up front. That means that I can pretty much charge much more than I'm charging right now. And that was how I seen the opportunity to then hit that 20k in a month target. I filtered reality. I started to see opportunities, ways of charging more to get that target hit. And it was an idea that came to me. It was part of reality that was filtered to shown to me using this part of my brain because I had the clear vision. My clear vision was, again, think of this. My clear vision was make 20k per month. The idea that I had was to charge 6 months up front. That idea that I had was literally came off the back of my brain filtering reality based on the things that I was believing in. I believed that I was going to make 20k. It then became important to me to make 20k, and that was the thing that I was important about. And I was consciously thinking about it. I was consciously filling my mind with it all the time. And I wasn't only consciously thinking about it, I was speaking about it. Right? I was journaling. I was visualizing. Visualizing, right? I was visualizing. I was filling my mind with it. My mind was being filled with the things that I wanted. My reticular activating system was being trained to filter and see ways to move towards it. So the clear vision is honestly, I'd say, the most important thing that successful people have, and that's why their RAS is trained to move towards things, because they know where they're going. The destination is clear. It's so vivid and so clear that the path just lights up. And that's something you might not have right now, is a super dialed in clear vision. What does that life look like? Not just a goal, hit this target. When you hit that target, what does your life look like? What are you spending your time doing? And this is questions I want you to ask yourself. What are you spending your time doing? What does it look like when you wake up in the morning? Who do you spend your time talking to? How much money are you making? How are you making that money? Start to get all the details and then start to live from that place. Start to be in that scenario, using the visualization, using the imagination. You don't want to, but one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to look at, this is just a little side topic from this, you don't want to look at that reality as if, oh, I'm looking at the future. You want to live in it. When you're imagining it, when you're feeling it, when you're building this clear vision, you want to live in it. You almost want to speak about it. You want to feel it as if it's already happened. That's what's going to allow the RAS to do its thing. Because your RAS does what it does, it filters reality based on your current beliefs, based on what you think is important. So if you start to deem this thing in your mind, this imagination, this clear vision as important, you're going to see the path lighting up to get towards it. So ask yourself these questions. Fill your mind with this. Get clear on the vision, and your brain's going to start filtering reality to see ways to move towards the life that you want, just like the successful people do, because they're locked into a clear vision. And when you start to fill your mind, again, just to reinforce, with the right things, with being abundant, having the success, the things that you're consistently thinking about, constantly filling your mind with, that's what your brain will filter reality to see and back up. So, moving forward, fill it with the positive stuff. Fill it with the success. Get rid of any negative thoughts. Remove anything that's causing doubt. Remove any negative things that are going to be going against the life that you want. Your job is to consume yourself with the life that you want, get so crystal clear on it, and that part of your brain will just back up what you believe in. It will just back up what you constantly think about. Because guess what successful people, the top 1%, constantly think about? Success, results, smashing targets, being the guy, living the life, and they're filtering reality, just like you're about to do after watching this video. So the last thing out of this three, and just to state as well, this is not an exhaustive video. I'll do other videos like this. There's so many other things that come into rewiring your brain for success, but these are just, I think, three really important ones that successful people have. And the reality of it is, it's things that are really real life applicable. So if you change your self-image, if you understand how to filter reality using your RAS, and I'll probably do like a full YouTube video on RAS to make it a little bit more in depth and a little bit more applicable than what I've just done there. But if you understand they two things alone, that'll change everything. But this last one here, I would say, is more of a mindset. It's more of like an ability that they have within their mind that allows them to remain in control. And it's just, again, how the top 1%, how the successful people, it's how they operate. They are in a position to be more successful because they can do this thing. And it is the ability to respond and not react. The ability to respond and not react. So let me give you an example. Have you ever went to do like some kind of public speaking? Maybe you're speaking in front of a class full of people, or a seminar, or a networking event, and almost like every voice in your head's like, you're gonna fuck this up, you're gonna fuck this up, this is scary, you're getting nervous, you're getting anxious. And you can apply this to anything that's not public speaking, but it's one of the most kind of nerve-wracking things that anyone can do is public speaking. So if you ever had that, you probably had it if you're reflecting. You can understand that there was a voice in your head that made you think about something negative. It was almost like you thought in your mind, this might go wrong, or fuck, I'm about to do this. And what you were doing was you were reacting to that voice. You were reacting to the, oh fuck, this might happen, right? You were not seeing it, we're going to speak about it, but you weren't responding. You were not able to respond. And the difference is, this reaction is an emotional reaction. It's an emotional reaction. And a lot of the time, it's an unconscious reaction as well. So it'll be unconscious, you'll just react, unconscious state, you'll go into that mode. But something that the 1% can do, something that the successful people can do, is they can choose to respond. So what is the respond? Respond is the ability to observe. So I can't write today. Observe, detach, and then choose. Responding is the ability to observe, and this is just in my analogy, the ability to observe the thing that is going on, that thought in their mind. So if you're going up to a stage, observe the fact that there's a thought there that's telling you that things could go wrong. The ability to then detach from it, so don't get emotional, don't react to it, and then choose. And this is why successful people have the ability to remain in control, because they're not reacting to things. In fact, they're responding because they have so much conscious awareness around the things that are trying to fuck them up, the things that are trying to throw them off, the things that are trying to create these emotional reactions, and the things that are unconscious. So the idea is, you want to turn this unconscious reaction into something that you're conscious of. And how you do this here, how you do that, is you need to gain awareness. The first step is awareness. And a good question to ask is, where am I reacting and where am I responding? And then another thing that you could ask is, if there was a time where I could have responded, how would it have served me better? And you can start to play these scenarios out and see where you're reacting in life, see where you're responding. Maybe you're maybe you're not responding right now, and that's an issue. But start to ask yourself these questions and start to really gain this awareness. A really powerful thing that you can use to gain this awareness is a journal. And how I would advise you to use this journal is to every single night be specific and reflect around that specific behavior. So if you are in this state of reacting all the time, ask yourself at night using the journal, when did I react today? At what point did I emotionally react, or at what point did I react today when I could have responded? A journal and using it like that is the closest thing to a steering wheel over your behavior. Awareness equals control. The more you question it, the more you create awareness around it, the more control you have over that behavior. So in order for you to get to a position where you can respond and not react, a really powerful tool is using a journal. And ultimately, these reactions that you're going to be having, I'm going to speak about quickly what successful people also are that doesn't allow them to be as reactive. But again, this here that I'm talking about is more how they operate in their mind. And you can relate that to the inner voice. That voice that can come in to stress you out, or something goes wrong, there's a voice going, fuck, that thing's went wrong. Right, cool. Observe, detach, and choose. And that choice is to respond, to act in alignment, to do what you should, not react emotionally, unconsciously. It's the ability to observe that thing that's happening, whether it's a negative thought, whether it's a negative situation, scenario, a problem within the business. Your ability to observe, detach, and choose will allow you to respond instead of react. And that's something that successful people can do. They're more calm, they're more relaxed, they're more confident, they're not reactive. But it's one thing that a lot of them are, and it's the opposite of reactive, and it's proactive, and it's something that is a lot like what proactive is. It's living for your future self. That's what being proactive is. It's scheduling ahead of time. It's putting plans in place. It's removing friction. It's creating a position for your future self to be in where they're not reactive. An example would be if you don't schedule your day, if you don't schedule tomorrow in, you're going to wake up with no plan and you're going to be reactive to that empty space, to your feelings. You're going to be reactive. You're not going to be proactive. But if you're intentionally scheduling that next day, you're being organized, you're being proactive like the successful people do, you're going to wake up with intention, with clarity, with, again, a level of being proactive where you're not going to react. You're going to be in control. And that's just a little tool, again, that these guys use, these successful people use, so they're not putting themselves in a position where they're reacting. They're able to respond. They're able to remain calm. And that's how these guys are essentially operating at a high level, and they've got a lot of power because, to repeat it one more time, they're responding, not reacting. So if you can start responding and not reacting, you can start to use your mind to be more consciously aware and just observe, detach, and choose. You're going to be operating at the 1%, and you're going to be able to make better decisions, take better actions, and not be controlled by unconscious reactions that right now might be controlling you. So let me quickly give you a little visual before you go based on this here. And I'll just show you the kind of little reaction, the little part here, the little reaction that again allows you to put this visually. So if you have, and this isn't necessarily just a thought that causes you to react, this is just something. So we'll just put, again, anything here. So let's just put X, because it could be a thought. So we'll see here, it could be a thought. It could be, again, an experience like something happened, like a problem. It could be a problem. And a lot of the time, people just react. But the successful people, they can use their mind to do what's called observe, to pause, to create presence, right? And this little bit here is a moment of presence. That is a little moment of presence between whatever happens and that reaction is a moment of presence that you can create by becoming more consciously aware of the reactions that are currently going on. Like I said there, using the journal, become more aware and then being proactive. But what happens here is this moment of presence allows them to, again, observe, allows them to ask themselves like a question, right? So again, a question that I would like or advise you to then implement with this is, what would my ideal self do? So what would my ideal self do? And that again is relating back to the self-image. It's like, what would that ideal version of myself do? But this is what happens when you become consciously aware of things that are causing these reactions. You can create a moment of presence and catch yourself before you react. You can observe in this moment of presence, you can observe, and then you can ask yourself the question, what would my ideal self do? What they would do is they would take an aligned action. You take that aligned action, ultimately, long story short, what does that result in? That results in success. If you consistently act like the successful version of yourself, you're going to get success as a byproduct. Your outcomes in life are a byproduct of who you are. They're a byproduct of your consistent behaviors. They're a byproduct of your habits. They're a byproduct of your, essentially, reactions, how you show up. And ultimately, if you can start to do this, if you can start to be in control, calm, observe, respond, don't react, like the 1%, I mean, that is the third and final thing that I'm going to speak about today. But if you implement these 3 things, just to recap, firstly, adopt a positive self-image. You can use imagination, visualization to update that self-image. And again, if you get any questions about this, give me a message on Instagram, in the comment section, whatever it is. Ask away. I'd love to talk to you about it. But if you can update that self-image to align with the successful version of yourself, you're going to start to show up as this person, show up as how you see yourself, because you cannot act out of alignment with how you see yourself. And then if you can start to, you really train your RAS, train your reticular activating system to see success, to see ways to move forward, to see opportunities, right? And then you can choose to respond and not react, and essentially be in a position of power where you can take aligned actions. You're going to be successful, and you're going to start to realize that these are probably the things holding you back right now. You're not broken, you're not shit, you're not incompetent, you're just not in control of your mind. And when you make these 3 shifts within your mind and start to use them in real life, you're going to notice a big shift in your life, and ultimately, you're going to start to rewire your brain for success. So, until the next YouTube video, I appreciate your time and attention. I appreciate you watching this. Hopefully this was valuable and you can take some things away. But leave a comment and ask a question if you want to. But other than that, I'll see you in the next YouTube video.